Good afternoon, and thank you for joining Modern Wall Street's Trader Talk. Today, I am joined by Matt Cheslock from Virtu Financial. And Matt, it's been quite an eventful week for Washington. We have the Supreme Court Justice Stura. President Trump has put notice on Iran for testing ballistic missiles. Right now, stocks are holding strong. They're holding their ground. So are we going to see a sell-off, or do you accept this?
You know what? If we were going to see a sell-off, we probably would have gotten it. You know, it's been the most volatile week we've seen, and certainly since Trump was announced as our president back in November. And most of it's been to the downside, but a lot of it's been earnings related, I think. It hasn't been a broader sell-off, and I think that's good for the market because there's certainly been enough reason for it to sell off.
Now, we also heard from some key central banks this week today. The Bank of England, they left rates unchanged and did not extend their QE program to buy corporate bonds. But Matt, if we look at our own 10-year benchmark, yields are supposed to rise to 3% in this month of February. Is that something we should be paying attention to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, if that does happen. I think the Fed now is put on notice, that they were accused of being behind the curve for so long. So they're going to be overanalyzed as we go forward. But, they've gotten a little pass right now, I think, because of the politics and because of the bipartisanship that's gone on, because of earnings. So the Fed's going to have to take a further notice as we get into the middle of February and into March. So if the 10-year does go to 3%, it's going to make a major deal on what this market, equity markets do.
And that's a great point to bring up earnings. Finishing up with that, we heard from some of the FANG stocks you discussed last week, along with some major companies. And while it's great to hear beating estimates on the headlines, some of the stakes weren't that high for some of these companies, arguably. So what should we be looking for beyond that consensus figure?
Well, I think other than Apple, we've seen some individual stocks really suffer because they haven't met the bar going forward. This was a low bar to beat. Apple was the exception, and I think there was a lot of people that were worried about what Apple could produce. And so they exceeded immensely, and the stock rallied, and that was what drove the market yesterday. Today we have a nice reversal in the market. We opened lower, and that's a lot of it's predicated on earnings. So keep an eye on some of the FANG stocks as they talk about some of the major ones, Amazon being one of the leaders tonight. So that's going to go into commerce, retail, shipping. That's going to cover all those bases, and those are ones that were in focus this week with UPS and things like that. So let's really focus on that as far as the end of the day, and then we have the jobs number tomorrow as well.
And what do you expect for the jobs number, Matt?
You know what? It's going to be probably changed again because this is going to be retail. It's going to be holiday based. So, forecasters have been, kind of all over the map with this. It's the same with the oil inventory number that we get every Wednesday. There's an adjustment that takes place, and they haven't even been on the right side. So I'm not going to really put a lot of stock into it. I think I'm going to focus more on what their changes would be from the prior months.
All right, we'll be watching out for that along with the earnings you discussed, and we'll also be watching out for the Super Bowl. So as far as I know, go Falcons, right, Matt?
Absolutely. As a longtime fan since 1977, I think this is our year.